Happy New Year, everybody. We're in 2021, but before we get any more into this year, we gotta take one more look back at 2020. But thank fuck that year is over. I'm Joe Redland with my 10 least favorite horror movies of 2020 with some honorable mentions. Now, I watched 138 2020 releases, and fucking hell, I saw some really bad horror movies, and I could have made this easily a top 25 because I saw a lot of shit. Some that I seeked out, some that end up disappointing me. But really, I just wanted to take one more crack at the really, really bad movies, much like I praised a lot of the really good movies on my 10 favorite horror movies list of 2020 list. So yeah, this was a whole lot of goddamn fun. But man, some of these movies, it's just so fucking baffling how they got made. But without further ado, let's get into the honorable mentions. By the way, full reviews of all of these are, on the Real Honest Movie Reviews playlist. So anyway, don't listen. It was some foreign horror movie about two house renovators and their kid being haunted by the ghost of a witch. That really was about it, and I hated it. And I didn't want to hate it, because it had good atmosphere, it had some good ideas, but it fucking sucked. It wasn't even like the acting was bad, just the whole presentation was just not good. And it limped along. It felt like it should have been a short movie concept. And then we got Porno. No, really, that was the name of it. It's a Shudder original, and I love Shudder. This is not one of their better ones. It wasn't good. It was a bunch of people, a bunch of teens played by early 20-somethings being stalked by a succubus in a 2-screen movie theater. It was really about it. And they didn't have nearly enough fun with it. They played it straight more than playing it for laughs, and I don't understand why they didn't just go the comedy route. Had they gone the comedy route, this at least probably would have been, I'd say, a C, maybe even a B. But they didn't. They had to play it serious. Lake of Death. I struggle to remember what this was about. A bunch of people or at some goddamn, cabin, and a bunch of stupid shit happens. That much I remember. The Rental. A bunch of people are at a rented place and some guy's stalking them. And there's no real explanation, nor do you give a shit about any of the characters when they get offed. And then Blackwater Abyss. A bunch of stupid people stupidly trying to get away from a crocodile / alligator / whatever scaly creature and fucking failing. It made the Anaconda sequels look brilliant by comparison. Now to number 10, 1BR. Okay, so you got a girl that wants to make it big in Hollywood. She gets an apartment, and it turns out to be run by some not-so-good people. And even though the lead actress was fine in this, and the concept of it could have worked, it just kind of devolved into torture porn bullshit and really wasn't all that good and seemed to hand it a sequel. And please don't give us 1BR2 Electric Boogaloo. Antebellum or Antebellum. Okay, so it was like The Village, only worse. Wait, no, actually it was worse than The Village because I had expectations for this. This wasn't good. This wasn't good at all, which is a shame. The acting in this should have elevated, and it didn't. I felt bad because the performances that were good, there were a couple good ones, were fucking wasted with a goddamn concept that really just boiled down to, hey, we're going to, put a mind-bendy trailer out there and then come up with an explanation that was way, way simpler and, just kind of, it was almost like the Black Christmas explanation where we're just going to hit you over the head and we're going to make these guys bad with no reason and these people good with very little reason. It wasn't quite as bad as Black Christmas, but it was kind of the same way they presented. Just no real explanation, no real good explanation, just here it is, and it's shit. And it's also simplified and just not good. I enjoyed ripping this apart, even though I felt bad because of performances. At least the lead ones were pretty damn good. She Dies Tomorrow. Despite the fact She Dies Tomorrow, this movie seemed to go on for about 2 months, and I don't fucking get it. And it should have been good. It wasn't. It actually seemed like it might have had a really good idea, and it just was bland, depressing, and not even like horrifying. I was just like, I'm bored. I took a nap after I reviewed this. That's how boring it was. So we get to You Should Have Left. Kevin Bacon, Amanda Seyfried, however the fuck you say it. They're in a house, and this house will not let bad people leave. And I'll give you a guess about who the bad person is. And if you didn't guess who the fuck it was, and you've never seen a horror movie in your life, and if you can't guess what the actual thing was, because if you just listen to a little bit of backstory between Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried, however you fucking say it, you can guess exactly where it's going to go within the first 15 minutes. And it's really sad because the house actually looked kind of cool, and it actually had a really cool haunted house feel, and You could do mind-bendy stuff, or you could do bland shit like this, and you can see Kevin Bacon just torpedo his career, and I don't know what Amanda's doing, because after seeing her in Mean Girls and seeing her in other stuff, Red Riding Hood, it's just been a descent into fucking madness, and I don't get it. So we get to The Grudge. I did not mention this on my least favorite movies of the year list, even though I should have, because there were so many other movies that were non-horror. Totally slipped my mind to, just slander The Grudge remake. This was fucking shit. It was the first movie that I saw in theaters in 2020, which feels so fucking long ago. Really fucking long ago. And actually, that's kind of the baffling thing. To think that, theaters weren't open, past mid-March for like 6 months, and then they were open for a couple months, and I didn't go back. And now, I gotta be honest, guys, I don't think theaters are gonna open up again, so we're just gonna have to basically spend $20 to watch movies at home, and that's just how studios are gonna make their money. And maybe they won't, put so much money into movies like The Grudge. We didn't need a remake of it, and it's a shame, because if you take a look at the cast on paper, it should have worked. At least a little. This wasn't even so much like bleak and depressing, because yes, it's a ghost that haunts people, and this whole thing, it attacks, the grudge ghost, whatever name it goes by, it just will attack you, it will continue to relentlessly pursue you, because movie, it just didn't work for me, and none of the kills were any good. The ending was absolute fucking bullshit. It wasn't the most bullshit ending, because that comes up here in a little bit, but yeah, The Grudge was not good. That's really the best way I can put it. And I was kind of excited for it because I wanted some popcorn fun. I did not get that. We then get to Fantasy Island. So, Blumhouse did The Invisible Man, which actually was shockingly good. Blumhouse either does really good stuff or they do Fantasy Island. And Fantasy Island, I thought Lucy Hale made stupid decisions. And I mean her character, I don't mean the actress. The actress actually seems like a lovely person. It seems like she does really good stuff for good causes. But as far as her roles, I thought she did stupid shit in Truth or Dare, and if you've seen that movie, you know what I'm fucking talking about. In this, the explanation for why the characters are doing what they're doing get dumber and dumber as things go on, and who thought it was a good idea to make a horror version, straight up horror version of Fantasy Island, Des Plaines, Boss, Des Plaines, and, try to juice it up with really, really bad horror and the black goo from Black Christmas. Yes, there's Black Christmas, a reference again. I hated the Black Christmas 2019 movie, can you tell? I really fucking hated it. Go check out my review that, that I did for, because I really tried hard to be fair to it, but I just couldn't be, because it was so fucking abysmal. In Fantasy Island, the explanation for why one person is making all this shit happen is really fucking stupid. And then there's an even dumber explanation for one of the people that's having their fantasies lived out. Basically that's the idea. You can have your fantasy, you can live out your fantasy, but the island may be alive, may not be alive. Who the fuck knows? Maybe it's cursed. Maybe it's Maybelline. Actually, you know what? I would have rather had a Maybelline ad break out during this, because then it would have just been somehow less comedic than the fucking shit we saw here. Fantasy Island was garbage. Not as garbage as The Turning. I fucking hated this movie. And I didn't want to hate it because for about half of it, maybe even a little bit more, the atmosphere was really good. The gothic horror elements, the the young woman taking care of two children in a very creepy haunted mansion. Don't go in this one particular part. Why? Well, we're not going to tell, except there's a ghost, and evidently this girl's a goddamn idiot and doesn't even know how ghosts work. And yep, ghost starts pursuing, and then she's got this subplot with her mother, maybe going a little bit insane. But the movie it has no ending. That's it. It just ends. It just ends like suddenly, like smash cut credits, like we're like, why? How? What the fuck's going on? If you've seen this, you know what I'm fucking talking about. The Turning was really goddamn bad. And PG-13 horror I don't usually care for. This one actually could have worked. I was about to give this a B, maybe a C+, because it wasn't great. It wasn't necessarily scary, but it had an actual ending. And had it made any goddamn sense, had they not just said, shit, we ran out of funding, cut it. Cool. It was like they did 80% of the movie and left the last 20%. Anyway, The Turning was shit. Brahms, The Boy 2. Hey, let's retcon The Boy that wasn't all that good anyway. Let's put Katie Holmes in here because she didn't torpedo her career enough being with Tom Cruise. Let's have her be in this. And then let's retcon it instead of it being, a doll that was just, being dressed up and everything because the parents didn't want to explain to any of the babysitters or the housekeepers that, oh yeah, their actual son that the doll was supposed to represent was living in the walls. Sorry, the boy's been out for a few years. Didn't mean to spoil. Let's retcon it by just making the doll evil. That's what they did. And it was ass. It was total fucking... This was such ass. It made no sense. Even if they had it where the doll was evil in the first one, this still would have been bad. The fact that they retconned it and did this made it even worse. And that's saying something. We then get to the Kraft legacy. Okay, so we got David Duchovny literally just sleepwalking his way through a role. We have, there's nothing wrong in Blumhouse. Once again, fucking Blumhouse. They either produce Invisible Man or they produce shit like this. And when you can actually make something worse than Fantasy Island, that's saying something. And the Kraft legacy was absolute dog shit. 100% dog shit. Hate it. They had their witch powers and they didn't. Then they suddenly did. And then they had this subplot where they fought this villain that everybody knew was going to be a villain within the first 10 minutes, except everybody in the movie. Every viewer would have been able to tell. The viewer's dog would have been able to tell. An inanimate object would have been able to tell. In fact, I think an inanimate object wrote and directed this movie. This was shit. And it was my worst movie of the year until the next one that I saw the very same day. Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. I hated this. I hated everybody in the goddamn cast. I wanted everybody in the cast to never get any work again, which is totally unfair because it's not their fault that this movie was goddamn dog shit. It was horribly written, horribly directed, but it was horribly acted. This was like if all the Wrong Turn sequels and even the first one were just melded and blended together and then fed with the Hills Have Eyes second one. Not the first remake, not 2006. That actually wasn't, I think it was 2006. That one was actually good. The Hills Have Eyes 2, Electric Boogaloo, was not very good. It was like that. It was like also taking the, House at the End of the Street. No. Well, House at the End of the Street, but also, Last House on the Left. Just taking a bunch of remakes, throwing them in a goddamn blender, and then giving us this shit. Nobody Sleeps, and also it was foreign, which isn't the worst thing, because foreign horror movies could be pretty good, but nope, Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. They sleep, and then they get stalked and killed by a couple inbred, cursed twins? I have no fucking idea. I don't fucking care anymore. Here. This is all I gotta say about that. Alright, goodbye 2020. Hello 2021. Here's hoping the movies are better. Because I'm probably gonna be streaming a lot of them from home. Anyway, hey, can you recommend me some horror movies I should watch that weren't any good? Maybe I'll think they're good. Maybe I'll do another list and talk about stuff that I missed in 2020. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Wetland. I'll see you soon.